So, quick right off the bat here, what I want to let you folks know who have joined, if you're looking for some sort of a certificate of attendance or something, they will basically state that you attended. And my person who is working the magic behind the scenes will share a little bit more about that in the chat. So if you do need to have someone just verify that you came to this class, you can actually shoot an email and they will send an email verification that you were actually in the class. Please feel free to use the chat function if you do have some specific questions. Again, I can't stress enough, this is a basic, right? So this is for folks who have maybe dabbled a little bit within the program, but have questions about how to do some other things. I did do another Facebook Live a couple months ago, and we kind of covered what was happening within the software itself. Adobe is a really extraordinary platform for anybody who is interested in being more involved with video editing, doing some animation. They have a number of different tools within the Adobe suite that could actually help you create some pretty cool stuff. But sometimes it can be tricky to try and find some of the things that you need. So if you're looking to kind of just hit the ground running and go, I'm going to give you a few little tips today. But I do want your questions, so please feel free to type any questions that you have in the chat or in the Q&A so that we can answer those, or so that I can. I'm saying we, but I will probably answer most of your questions. My do space moderator will chime in every now and again and answer questions that I'm not sure I can answer. So basically what I'm going to share with you today, if I share correctly, and I'm not sharing correctly, so I'm going to try this again. There we go. All right, so it is still not sharing correctly. I don't want you to see my whole screen. I just want you to see this part of it. All right, there we go. No, that's not doing it either. What the heck? What in the hey? Okay, I guess it is it just showing you? Are you just seeing my Premiere? I'm seeing the seeing this screen, but I'm not sure if it's doing the right thing here. We tested this prior to. Well, I don't want to show everything on my screen. What I want to do is just show Adobe Premiere. And so that's where I'm a little confused, because usually it has a green box around it to show that that's all that I'm sharing. Can you see what I'm sharing right now? There it is. I can't hear you, but it's okay. It's okay. It's working now. We're here. Okay. So I do apologize. Like I said, if you do have questions, please ask them in the chat. And it says here, screen one to show everything. All right. You may have the video open twice. Nope, it's just one. This is actually the layout of Premiere. So with the exception of seeing this video that I have here already kind of set out and laid out on the timeline, when you first open Adobe Premiere Pro, all of these windows are going to be blank. Okay. And this is why I'm saying, if y'all want to ask questions, please feel free to ask your questions. If there's something specific that you're wanting to know about the program, ask them in the chat, because I'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you. But what I wanted to show you that's kind of cool is, so for example, this is what I work at Bellevue University. I'm a video production, senior video producer director at the university. And I basically create video content for our students when they are taking courses. So I work with instructional designers and professors of the courses to create topical videos around maybe one specific topic. This particular video was a video to show them how they could go in and forward their Outlook email to their student email. And the reason why I wanted to show you this video today is because um, the great thing about Premiere, and this is what you can't find in a lot of different videos. So, Emily, what was your issue? um, it says here, thank you. That was my issue. Anyway, so basically, what this does is it does allow you to layer different pieces of video and add voice. You can actually add voice very easily if you have a microphone connected to your system just by clicking the little record button here within the windows down here. Um, the way that this is divided out is kind of cool as well. There's different ways you can lay out the program. How do you open Adobe Premiere? Okay, that is an excellent question. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and quit Premiere. Now, if you don't already have the program, you do have to sign up for it. Now, Adobe offers some temporary things that you can do. If you're a student, they have a really great student rate if you're wanting to oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. So here's basically my desktop. Okay. Now I have Adobe Premiere CC, which is the entire platform. So I have everything that they have to offer. Okay. And basically what they do is they send you something and you can log in, and then whatever it is that you choose to have through them will show up here in your Creative Cloud. Now, as you can see in mine, I have Photoshop, Illustrator, all these different programs. These programs are not all necessary in order to do what I'm doing today. You can do this just with Premiere. You don't need anything else. So to launch Premiere, after you get the program itself, if you just download this one program and pay the monthly fee for just Adobe Premiere, this is all you would see in this window. So to launch Adobe Premiere, you would just basically click open from your Creative Cloud to find that. So basically, this is what happens when you launch the program. Now, what you're going to see here, these are all programs that I've already, or videos that I've already worked on. Okay. So it's going to show you a list of recent projects. It's going to show you a tab to start a new project. It's going to give you the option to open a project if you don't see your list of projects here under recents. It was one of the things that Adobe did kind of recently with their updates, is you get to see a little bit more of what you've opened. So as you can see here, the project that I just had open, it says I had it open 13 minutes ago. So any one of these projects, as long as I still have it on my system, then I can launch it from this particular window. So this is basically all you would do, is you would launch the project that you want to work on if you haven't started one, or you would launch a new project. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and show that to you since you're all here. I'm going to show you what you would do if you open a new project. Now, I did do this in the last, what I did in January. We went over this as well, but I'm going to go over it again. It's all good. Yes, you can also get this access to the software for free at DoSpace, which is cool. And how important, let's see, a question from Joseph. How do you open Adobe Premiere? Yep, that's what we're doing right now. And you want to know how to import. Jojo wants to know how to import video. Yep, I can show you that. So basically I'm going to show you how to launch a new project. When you launch a new project in Adobe Premiere, I'm going to hide this because we don't need this right now. It's going to give you the option to name your project. It's going to give you a location for where you're going to save your project. If you are using all digital media, so if you're not having to basically ingest something from an older camera where you have to connect to the camera and plug it in using FireWire, then you don't really need to worry about this ingest settings. But you will want to look at your general settings for whatever it is that you're creating. So for example, I always use time code because a lot of what we shoot is time coded. So we put time code. Audio, never really changed this, always use the same thing. And then capture video is what's the basic frame rate of the video that you're using the most. Many of these things I don't change. They all stay pretty much the same. You do want to give your project a title, obviously, and then you want to click on your scratch discs. And what's really important here is that you always want to create your name of your project. You want to create a folder within your hard drive where you're going to save the project and call it all kind of something similar, something that you can remember. Because all of these things, your capture video, your captured audio, any previews or audio previews as you're working in the program, you want it to all be saved in your project. The reason why you want to do that is, for example, so we're looking at that Outlook video, right? In that Outlook video, what you end up seeing is you end up seeing these folders once I've created that project. That way it makes it easy for me to go back. So if I have it set up on an autosave and say my system crashes, there's a power outage, I can actually go in here and I can launch from one of these that are set up for autosave. So I don't necessarily lose all of my work, which again, that's another practice you want to kind of get used to, is setting up your autosave and having it do it automatically, right? Every 3 to 5 minutes, so that you're not doing an hour or 2 hours worth of work and then something happens and your system crashes and you lose everything. So anyway, so when you go in there and you create these folders to all save within the project, like I did here, it's going to create these Adobe Premiere folders. Now, these other folders are just my own best practice for keeping things in an orderly fashion so I can go find something quickly. So anything that's a graphic or a still, I will save in a GFX. So I created these folders inside this particular window. Okay. Same thing with like B-roll, which is basically just random footage that I get from a source that we use at the university for B-roll footage. And that's basically footage where you're only using what you're seeing and the audio is there's none typically. I create a folder where I save my music files to, or any voiceover files that I might create. These are the scripts for the project. I save that. And if you are working on a project where you have a script, you're going to want to put all of these things together, because then when you're done with the project and you offload it off this drive, if you need to bring it back for any reason, it will automatically connect everything and you don't lose anything. So I'm just telling you that as just a best practice to get used to doing that. So I'm actually going to cancel out of this again. I do see that we have another question. What is the minimum quality of video that we need, or can we improve the quality of the video here? That is an excellent question. Is it Dorji? Is that how you pronounce your name? And I will get to that in just a second. So I'm going to open this up. Now, you always kind of want to think about, where are you going to end up using your video? Okay. So is your video going to be somewhere that's maybe shown on YouTube, or is it going to be on Facebook, or is it going to be on Instagram? Because there's different sizes. You can actually do square sizes now. And that's all in the export part of this. What's really cool about working though in Adobe Premiere is you have access to presets for a lot of different things. Okay. Now, to import your video into a project is really super simple. Once you've gotten your video all saved, so let's say you pull a bunch of video off of your iPhone and you put it in your project, right? And what I do is I create a folder for any video footage, right? That's going to be, I do have some screen capture footage here somewhere. I don't know where it went. But you would put it all in the same folder. Okay. So you'd put it in a folder and label it video, because the great thing about doing that is that once you do open your project and you're ready to start editing within Premiere, you can either grab that B-roll footage or that video file and literally drag and drop it into your project. Just that easy. And it'll import any video clips that are inside of there, or So here is basically some screen capture video. Actually, that is not screen capture. If you do something wrong, the really super cool thing that you can do within the program is you can actually do edit and undo, and it'll automatically go back to what you did before. Or you can use short keys. If you're using a Mac, you would use the Option Z key, which is an undo. And I am not sure what the shortcut is on Windows, but a lot of those things you can actually find out on the interwebs. Okay, so like I said, you can either double click in this window to import video into your project, right? So here is a video that I'm going to import into my project, and there it shows up. And so here is this video clip, right, that I just imported into this project. Now you'll notice when I drag it over to my timeline, let's just say I want to drop it above this, which is already the same thing, okay? So I'm going to move this down a little bit. So let's say I want to drop it here. Now, sometimes it'll flag you and ask you, do you want to keep the same resolution? Because you're going to create that when you create your project, right? And so I'm going to kind of back up because it would throw me off track just a little bit. Like I said, this was basics. So I'm going to close these two things. And this is the video that I just brought in, right? If I drag it and drop it into the sequence, it's already going to create a video that matches the frame rate and the size of the video I just dropped into the timeline. Now, if there's something that is smaller than, for example, let's say somebody shoots something on their phone, and instead of holding the phone this way, they hold the phone this way, right? Up and down instead of sideways. Then the video fits into the window funny, right? So those are things that you want to think about. If you're shooting video, let's see here. If you're shooting video on your phone, you want to check your settings and make sure that you're saving them at a high resolution. Now, if you don't have a lot of hard drive on your phone, that's going to eat up your space on your hard drive rather quickly. However, if you're ultimately wanting to get it into Premiere Pro Basics or Premiere Pro to edit, you're going to want to make sure that what you are creating your project at, whatever size or frame rate, you are saving your video on your phone the same way. So I'm going to give you an example of that. If I come in here and I create a new sequence, right? So this is what you would do. So just pretend like all of that would be blank and I'm creating a brand new sequence. Now, when we edit at Bellevue, we have certain things that we already know are going to be set up for the frame rate. And so that's always just an automatic. So once you've figured something out and you kind of have your sweet spot for where you want to work, you can customize that. Now, as you see here in these sequence presets, what's really cool is you can actually go into these folders and you can do something at a high frame rate, the 1080p at 30 frames a second. You can do it at 480p. You can do it at 720p, right? If you've got, say you're shooting with a Canon DSLR camera. So they have all these presets in here. If you happen to have something a little fancier, you can go with a Red R3D. If you have something that shoots in HDV, again, these are all things that you don't necessarily need to just start editing, if that makes sense. But there's a lot of really cool presets so that you can get in and be editing rather quickly. So for us, we just created a preset and it gives me these different settings where you can actually also go in here and switch this up. So you can see there's just a whole variety of different presets, right? So if you know where you're going to end up with your video, this is one place where you want to be thinking. And I'll tell you the spot that I go to the most, we go DSLR 30 frames a second, 1280 by 720. And that's basically the way that we set up all of our projects because all of our stuff is going direct to the web. So we have, or to our media platform, which is all web-based. So it's all virtual. And so it is going to be compressed somewhat, but we do shoot on pretty high frame rate cameras. So that actually you don't really see a huge reduction in quality by the time you get here. But again, this is not stuff that you really necessarily need to know to actually just get in here and start editing. And I think that's what um, most people are thinking they want to do the most, right? You just want to get in and you want to edit some video that you shot on your phone that has maybe images of your mom. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here real quick and I'm going to find some stuff that I know was on my phone. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. So I have a series of different images in here that were that I shot of my mom. So this is going to give you a good example of some of the ways that you can say bring in a still to create a video. But this might illustrate what I was trying to tell you before. See how this was set up? Um, this was shot with the camera facing, the long way, right? And so position wise, I can move this around a little bit. I can even resize it, right? So this was basically something that I took a screenshot of off of the internet and wanted to save it because it's just me being silly with my mom. How I got to that point is I basically dropped that in my timeline and I double clicked on it. And then I clicked up here on effects. And then that helps me change the scale. I can move the position around, right? I can rotate it if I wanted to rotate it, right? So those are all pretty cool things that we can do. And we can actually make it move. So for example, let's say I wanted it to start off screen and we'll go this way. Say I wanted it to start off screen somewhere. So I'm going to start it there. And then I'm going to just jump to 2 seconds in. And I'm going to move it into this screen, right? And I'm going to have it stop there. Whoops. Sorry. And have it stop there. So these are frames, right? Or edit points. So I'm going to tell it to stop there. And then I want it to hold there for a little bit. So I'm going to move forward maybe a few frames, right? That's maybe 15 frames. So it comes through and it stops and it just holds there. And then I want to jump towards the end of this and I want to move it off screen. And I'll tell you, one of the things about this program is it does a whole lot of things. And it is a matter of you getting in and just playing with the program because this is a very simple movement and you can do a whole lot of things. They are going to be uploading this to the DoSpace channel where you can actually rewatch some of these things. Any other questions from anybody who still happen to be here? We've got 7 minutes left. But again, it's a matter of getting all of your elements. You want to arrange your elements, bring them into your project, and then you can start laying them out. You know, those fancy video scrapbooks that you see. This is basically, in some cases, this is what they're doing. I will say there's a lot of those programs today where they'll literally bring in a whole bunch of images, plop them on a timeline, throw the same crossfade between each image, and it'll play through. And those actually get kind of boring if I'm being honest. Minimum PC specs, system requirements. You know, Joey, that's a really good question. And you want to have a really decent, powerful computer. For example, I'm working on a Mac and I have, let's see, basically 16 gigabytes of memory and I have a 2 terabyte hard drive. And I don't have a whole lot of stuff on that. It's about 1.36 terabytes still available. You don't want to be running a lot of things at the same time that you're running running this program as well. I would definitely check your specs of your system prior to actually purchasing the software. And actually, again, I know they offer a trial period and then you would pay a monthly fee for the service. But you do want to check and see, what kind of graphics card do you have? Because all of those things are going to make a difference in how the system is going to perform for you and how the program is going to perform to you. How is this related workout in the world? What do you mean by that, Joseph? MacBooks are pretty decent, Samuel, but again, I'll be honest with you, you're going to want to check your memory. See how much memory you have, how much storage you have on it. If you have a lot of things taking up your hard drive, you're going to want to move those off onto an external hard drive. And when you're editing, try to edit onto an external hard drive as well. That'll kind of help. But I can tell you the system that I have is through work and it really handles a lot. But there are times when I have lags, depending upon what I'm asking the system to do. So, yeah, you can actually find work where you can do this. Yes, you can also add text to the video. Let me show you that real quick. So some examples of adding text here. So here's a chunk of text that I added to this particular video. And what's really great about this, and I'm actually just going to go to a spot in the video and just drop and add text. There's a text tool right here. And you can literally come over here and you can just click on your video wherever you're at within your timeline. And it'll drop this little puppy in there, which is your cursor. And you just start typing. Now, you do need to change this when you want to move it around, though. You want to grab, there's this little tool here, the arrow tool. It's your selection tool. Text is a little tricky in Premiere Pro. It's that easy to add it. It's also that easy to misspell because that's what I do. So you just start typing. Then what's really cool is you can come over in this window, right? And here is where you can change. You open that little window. So see it, there's where the text is. You can actually change the font on the text. So if you want it to change, you do have to select it. And you can select a different font. That didn't change very much. So we're going to select a different one here. I'm going to select that one. So it changes that. There's a variety of different things that you can do in regard to changing the size. You can change it here. You can just type in a number. If you happen to know how big you want it or how small you want it, you would just select that for font size there, or again, use the slider. This allows you to change whether or not it's more of a condensed text. Like if your font has all these options in it, it gives you the option to quickly change your font and the look and feel. So this is right justified. You can center it, which that is not necessarily centered, but sometimes depending upon where you started. Now, there is this little thing here, and this is the pan and rotate. This is where this is going to rotate from. And that again is just a whole nother a whole nother can of worms. We'll get to that in a second as well, although we only have a couple minutes left. But anyway, you can change the layout of where you want the text to be. You can change the color of the text just that quickly. You can add a stroke around the outside of the text and change the size of that stroke, all very quickly right from within this window from within the program. You can then also add animation to that particular piece of text, moving it in and out. You can have a crossfade to have it come just crossfade in and then crossfade back out. So just a variety of different things that you can do. I mean, the program itself is incredibly powerful. If you want to do some cool stuff, this is the program to get. And it is worth it if this is the only program you're going to be focusing on. And I think it's only like $9.99 a month to get the program and use the program. Again, if you're a student, you can actually get the whole entire suite of the programs that they offer for an introductory, I believe, of $19.99, and then it jumps to like $29.99 for as long as you're a student, or if you're a teacher, even you could use it in education. But there's a whole variety of other programs that they offer that make editing a little bit easier. Oh, you know what? I forgot we started at 6:30, so we don't end until 7:30. So keep your questions coming. Joseph, here, let me give you my email quick. This whole timing was off. They actually originally scheduled this for 6:30 this morning. So at least that's what I got in my email. Okay. So, so text, again, like I said, it's very easy to add, very easy to go in here and change the color of the text. You know, the look and the feel, the font size, all of those things. Now, you can also do exactly what we did with moving that image across, right? So I can have my text also animate across the screen. And that is, so for example, I can click this position button and I can go like this, right? So I've moved it up, it's off screen. And then I'm going to go forward about 15 frames. So not very far, but I'm going to go forward about, whoops, that was too far. Oh, that went in 15 frames. My apologies. There's also these really cool zoom in and zoom out tools. So you can really get in there and very closely look at where you're at within your timeline. And you can edit down to the frame. Okay. So here are the frames here, and we want to just go forward, say to here. And then I want to, now you do have to click this little time toggle, this little animation on. That was before I moved that off screen. I did that, right? And now I want it to come into the screen. So it automatically, when I come over here, when I move it, it'll automatically add a new keyframe for that animation, because I clicked that little timer before I started moving it around. So yes, adding text, super, it's as easy as that. On your keyboard. Okay. What other questions do you have here? If someone has a burning question for what they wanted to do, that's basically generally adding text in an easy way. There's some other ways where they have some graphics where you can also add text. Those can get a little trickier because there's different animations and things that are added within those text graphics that they've created, and like I said, they just can get tricky. So sorry about that. I was actually going to see. Okay, so graphics. There's all of these pre-made graphics that you can also add into your program, and they're literally drag and drop. I mean, they're as easy as just dragging and dropping it in, just like that. And when you click on it, again, it brings it over into this edit window, and I'm going to delete this other one. So it already gives you what this graphic is going to look like. You have to find that little text button here over to the left, and then that's where you can edit the caption. So you can come in here and you can actually edit what it says. You can either do that by coming over here and clicking, or coming down here and clicking on this tool. And you can add that text, change that text, just that easy. And so that this actually has a pre-built in the form, and hit enter on your keyboard or click next. So that way you don't have to go in there and figure out all of the little ways in which they scaled that to zoom in and zoom out and figure all those things out. But you can actually go in and edit those keyframes as well. And get right in on that action and change and tweak those things however you want to change and tweak them. So, so those are kind of cool. So if you want to add text quickly and play around with some of those things, you just really literally just drag them and drop them into the timeline. So that is that piece. Now, the other thing that I think is really super cool about this program, especially if you have a fairly decent quality microphone, but you really don't even have to have a decent quality microphone, but to be able to come in here and edit something and fix something on the fly. So, for example, I created this video for work. And again, it was just about forwarding Outlook email to your to a personal email account if you're a student. How do you make a screen recording with the audio on Mac? Samuel, I'll tell you what, if you email me about that, I would be happy to show you that because it is not about Adobe products at all. But I would be happy to show you. It's pretty simple. So anyway, back to this piece. So basically what I did is I came in here to build this project and I had my music and I brought that in first, right? None of this text or any of this was here. And I had to screen capture some of these little elements to bring those in so that I could create this video and show them how to log in and where they needed to log in to actually do the forwarding. But they wrote a script and I did the voiceover on the script, but I actually read the voiceover right within this program. So I can come in here and I can mute all of this. And I am going to open the script. And so I just had my script up on my screen, right? And I come over here and I click this little record button, gives me a little countdown. In this video, we will show you how to forward your Bellevue student email to a personal email account. So I don't know if it actually recorded that. Yes, it did. In this video, we will show you how to forward your Bellevue student email to a personal email account. Now, what's really super cool is I can squeeze this out, right? Or squeeze this in, however you want to look at it. I can edit using this little cut feature. So these great tools right here, there's this razor tool where you can come in here and you can select where you want to cut something and get rid of that beginning part, right? Because what I want is I want this to come in. In this video, we will show you how to forward your Bellevue student email to a personal email account. So that shows you how easy it is to actually do voiceovers right here within the system. And you don't have to know anything fancy about anything. Like I said, if you do have a microphone that you can connect to your computer, you can get a little bit better sound. I actually have a little fancier microphone because I do a lot of voiceover work for my work. So that is a really cool feature within here. You can also actually record over something that you've already recorded. So not only does it have really great video editing things that you can do within the program, you can actually do some really cool audio editing. And there are a ton of different ways in which you can change your effects in your audio. So there's all these different ways that you can, like, if you listen to it and you think to yourself, I think if there's a little bit of an echo or there's kind of some room noise. And there's just a whole bunch of free YouTube videos out there too. So if you're like listening to something, you kind of don't like the way it sounds, you feel like there's an echo on it, you go to YouTube and just plop in there, how do I remove echo or room noise from audio on my video? Or audio within Premiere Pro, and it will throw you back a bunch of videos, short videos that you can watch to easily fix and change and alter the audio using these built-in features. And some of them are super easy. So again, if you have any questions, please ask questions. I'm kind of, I apologize because I'm a little all over the place at the moment. Because I had a mission and then and then some of your questions actually threw me off track. But anyway, so then once I usually typically will build from a script. So I've got my audio first, and then I'll edit my audio. right? Because as you're going along this timeline here, I just want to show you a couple things. I'm going to hide this video. So this track right here is my audio that I cut for this particular project, okay?
In this video, we will show you how to forward your Bellevue student email to a personal email account. Forwarding email gives you one place to see all of your personal and academic.
So I've gone in there and I've actually edited out stuff, places where I made mistakes. That's why you can see these little cuts here within my audio, right? So this little cut here was because I might have like taken a deep breath and I wanted to get that breath removed from there. When I click on this particular audio piece, you can see that I have added a denoise in there just to remove some of the echo and some of the room noise that was happening when I first cut the audio. So again, there's just, I mean, the only limits to this program really are your imagination. And I know that people have probably said that before in other arenas, but but teaching yourself this, especially if you get access to Adobe Creative Cloud, you can actually also, yes, get paid and get jobs out in the world doing video production and editing. And I know UNO actually offers some classes. So does Metro College. Offer some classes around video production, and they use very similar platforms. I actually think they both use Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects to teach you how to shoot and edit video within the program. So I know there's still 17 of you in here, and I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have any questions right now? We answered the text. How does After Effects work with Adobe Premiere in general? Emily, you know, that's a really excellent question. What's really cool is you can actually start a project here in Premiere Pro, and then you can take this entire project and you can bring it into After Effects. Now, for this particular project, I was in a hurry, so I just quickly did the project and edited it all right here in Premiere Pro. Typically, what I do, and I'm actually going to close this project, and I'm going to open a couple of other things, and I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to say no. You do want to get in the habit, though, of always like saving when you know that you don't want to foobar something in a project that you're working on. But typically what we'll do is we shoot a lot of the stuff that we do within the work that I do. We have people come into the studio and we shoot it on a green screen. And I'm trying to find one of the ones where I actually did that. There we go. Okay, so you can see here that there's a Premiere Pro project. This is this one here. PR, anything P.proj is Premiere Pro. And then an After Effects is a .aep. And now I'm going to show you basically what I do is, like I said, I create my base for what I'm editing. Samuel, After Effects is a, how would I describe it? You can actually do a lot more animation, a lot better, a lot, really get in on your keyframes. You can make things, squiggle through. You can make something stroke on. Like if you want your name, like you wrote your name and you wanted it to come on the screen as though you were actually writing it on the screen. It's just that it's an effects program. Okay. And so, so what we do is we start in Premiere Pro and we do the layout. So I told you I do the audio. I will bring in any video and I'll do all of my basic editing before I add any B-roll and those types of things. Sometimes I do add those things within Premiere, but then I will connect it. So what happens when I connect it is it takes this, right? And you know how I had all those layers in those other in that other project. It collapses those layers into a single layer, but that's because it automatically will go over to, when you tell it to go over to After Effects, you can come into After Effects, and this is where you can get even more precise with your editing. You can get more precise with text. You can do even cooler stuff with text where you can actually animate single letters. It's just a more robust program than Premiere Pro. Does that answer your question, Emily? Um, and so they work together really beautifully um, to create projects and um, to animate text and do that. Now, the other thing that's really super cool is so we have this person that I shot in our studio, and we actually shot her on the green screen. And what's really super cool about that is, as you notice, is I get to key her out. So she's delivering a script and she's looking at a teleprompter. She's delivering this whole script, and I can come in here and wherever I want her to be on screen, I can key out the background and overlay her on a different background. So this has this really great background that I picked that I just lay her into, right? And then I can add text. That's what each of these layers are, is text, and they can all animate on as she's talking. If she's not on screen, then I have B-roll footage, maybe, right? So I pulled some footage off of our platform that we use that has a bunch of B-roll footage, and we just pay an annual fee for that. So I can go in there and look up, modern business office kind of thing, and then I can plop that in there. And again, it just adds a little bit more to the video to actually be able to bring it in here and add text and move it around on the screen, have moving video, have things zoom out and zoom in. They just work really beautifully together. And then usually what I do when I export a project like that is I actually come back into um, Premiere. So this is the same project, but it's reading what I did from After Effects into Premiere. And then this is where I will come in and I'll actually export a project. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to show you how to quickly export a project. So what you do is you come up to File and you would do Export, and then you're going to click Media. And you actually really don't even need to learn all these other things that are here within this program. You could literally come in here and plop a bunch of video, add a bunch of text. If you wanted to play with Premiere and After Effects, you could do that as well. But what's really super cool about exporting from this platform is that, again, you have all of these options for how you want to export your video. Okay. Now, I always do H.264. And that's because, like I said, all of the stuff that we do goes direct to the web. You can create output for if you want to burn a DVD. There is also output abilities for if you wanted to, say, for example, go to YouTube and you wanted to do it in an HD 720p, or you could go YouTube 1080. There's just they make it super easy to figure out where you want to go with it. If you wanted it to run well on a mobile device, you could output it for a mobile device. Again, you can do high quality as long as you initially shot it in a high quality. But again, I don't think you need to really get too far in the weeds about those types of things and exporting and understanding every single one of those and how every single one of those works. If you were going to create a Blu-ray, you could output it in Blu-ray, but those get a little bit tricky because then you have to understand how to put those and burn those to a DVD. So, any other questions while we're here? I'm going to go ahead and go back to that other project. And I didn't make any changes there, so I'm not going to save that. But what's really cool, like I said, they work really well together. They're designed to work together. The other thing that's really great about having all of the suite of the Adobe products is if you created something, say in Photoshop, and then you brought it into Premiere Pro, and then you noticed you made a mistake in something from Photoshop, um, you could correct it automatically by right clicking on the Photoshop document within Premiere, and then it would automatically launch Photoshop. You would fix it, and then your changes would happen automatically back here in Premiere. Um, that's a good question. I am not sure if I'm pretty sure that somehow Premiere Pro and Premiere Rush will work together, but I'm not sure how. I just know that what a lot of the work that we do at the university is basically from Premiere Pro to After Effects and back, or Photoshop or Illustrator. That's another thing. You can create things within Illustrator if you're an artist. Um, you can create those things and you can bring those into Premiere, and you can animate single elements off of whatever it is you created. Maybe you want to animate a stick figure not walking across the screen, because that's where you need After Effects. If you wanted to take and have a stick figure moving with his arms, maybe bending at a certain spot, you would have to use After Effects for that. So if you want to get really super detailed with some animation, that's where After Effects comes in. But you can do very simple stuff here within this platform, just depending upon what it is that you want to create. You can move individual items around on the screen. If you created, say, a map of some sort and you laid that out in Premiere and you wanted things to kind of move across the map, you could actually do that. So, what other questions can I answer for y'all? It's really a super amazing platform. I've been using it for many, many years now, and I I just keep getting better and better at some of the things that I create. How to modify color. That's a good one. There's a lot of presets. So if you go back over to these effects, you can go to your presets, and there's a lot of just already built presets that you can literally just drag and drop, and boom. So that's one way that you can modify the color within something. You can actually even modify it over time. But so here is this particular piece of video, and I dropped that onto the timeline, onto that particular piece of video, and it's Lumetri color. And so if you see here, I'm going to toggle that back off. You see how it changed that to a much cooler look. Um, Well, Samuel, no, you don't necessarily have to use voiceover to have audio. If you have audio within your video, you can use that. You can have somebody on camera delivering their audio, which is basically what that other video showed. So we had that person was on camera and they were reading a script. It kind of depends upon you and whether or not you want your videos to be really to look really polished, or if you want that like quick TikTok viral video look. It just varies. Totally up to you. However you want that to go and look. So again, then you can also go within here, Emily, and you can tweak the corrections that were made with that automatic one as well. So you can change things, um, the tints and the shadows just by moving them around within here. So you can really play with and make really cool changes to any of these um, presets. That's what I wanted to say, presets. So it's just again, if you want to do that color correction yourself, you can certainly do that color correction yourself, and you just go in there. And I would always start with the preset just because it's so much easier, but you can even go down if you're familiar with Photoshop editing, you can get into curves and you can change stuff based on curves. You can even edit. So that was editing the white point. You can edit the red. So see how it gives you the different. So it's just totally up to you. However, whatever looks good to you, right? So there's the blues if you want it to be cooler or if you want it to be crisper in the blues. Yeah, so Emily, on that, there are presets that could help you with that. But for that, you would want to be working with hues. And let me just see here. I don't know if you can do that in Premiere. I know you can do it in After Effects. Let me see if they have a, nope. Yeah, in After Effects, you can actually go in there and change the hue, but again, it changes the whole thing. If you just want to change the color of her shirt, that's where you have to go in and you have to mask. You have to create a mask and then you would have to layer it. So I could mask her individually and then mask the background, and then I could hone in on just the color of her shirt. It's 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 not like some of the tools that you would find like in Photoshop. Yeah, a lot like Illustrator. Yep. So Illustrator is, if you're good at Illustrator, you actually will be pretty decent in Premiere Pro and After Effects. And you could, you know, the reason why I love After Effects is you can go in and you can create a mask that moves with the character. Those things are time consuming, because you literally have to go frame by frame by frame and move things around and have it capture that. But again, there's also presets, um, that you can utilize within there that aren't available here. Let me see if I'm gonna just take a guess. The other thing that you could do is, and I do that, like I said, I do this a lot, is to just pull up a Google, go into YouTube and say, how can I just tweak one color in a video? These make holistic changes. So, when you go to your color wheels, you can change based on the color wheel or curves, or like I said, going down into those, like here, you can change the hue. Um, so let me see if I do this and I say that. Nope. So hue versus hue. I'm gonna try. See, I do so much of this stuff in After Effects that it's kind of hard to see if I can get this one to do. Oh, it's only gonna let me use that one. So there it figured out that hue, but you can kind of go in here, it looks like, and play around with these different, yeah, but it's not making any changes really. So that's another thing. It's a matter of kind of going in here and honing in on some of these different, tweaking some of these different features, if that makes sense. Does that help, Emily? So, so if I would say to anybody who's starting, don't be afraid of the program. There's really not anything that you could break. Um, I would say just get in there and start playing. Just start playing and have fun. Create a fun little family video. I can tell you, if you've used any of the editing platforms, for example, on your iPhone or like iMovie, where iMovie, there's a lot of restrictions to what you can do. It's not as easy to layer things like here, where I can literally have as many video layers as I want, and I can have equally as many audio layers as I want. Every time you open up the program, it usually starts with 2 or 3 video layers and 2 or 3 audio layers. And I don't know if you can see this double line here, but there's a double line between the two. So everything above that double line is a video layer, and you can actually turn off different layers, and turn on different layers if you only want to see part of it and you kind of want to really hone in on one little piece of it. You can do that. You can also mute different audio layers if you wanted to tweak the way the audio sounds. We use some stock audio options, and this was a pretty consistent. So just to not have it be driven over or competing with the voice, I just brought it down to a point where it wasn't competing with my voice as I was doing the voiceover. Well, look at that, it's 7:29. Well, I do appreciate those of you who asked questions. We had quite a number of you stick in here for a long time and listen up. I do appreciate you joining. It is almost 7:30, so we're about ready to end this session for today. But like I said, Thank you so much for joining. I did plop my email address in the chat. If anybody's interested and wants to send me an email, I'll put it in there again real quick before they come in here and shut us down, because they will. If you have some other questions, you want to shoot me some questions, I'm happy to answer questions at any time. I am going to do an After Effects introduction on the 22nd of March, which is also a Monday, and that is also happening at 6:30 p.m. So if you want to join me for that, I'd love for you all to join me for that. And again, if you want to send questions to my email, please do. So that is it. We are at the end of our hour. I don't know if my moderator, my person is in the room or not. Anybody have any questions while we wait? Oh, there, the do space person is there. All right, y'all. Thank you.